Hey, this is Robert Guest, and me and Jose are going to talk to you about a new Supreme Court order. Now, this one has some details on what kind of hearings you can have, what kind of hearings are going to be delayed, and kind of the effects of the pandemic on the court system. And Jose, when did this one come out? And tell us what it says.
So this came out April 27th, so yesterday, and basically it renewed a lot of the previous court orders, except for a couple of them, which are kind of odd, little things. But then they also state those little ones in the court order, so it technically renews all the previous, 11 court orders that there were for the Supreme Court of Texas. What they're basically saying, though, is that all deadlines and statutes and, statutes of limitations and rules are all extended for 30 days until after the disaster declaration is lifted. I feel like the disaster declaration is not going to be lifted anytime soon, although we are restarting opening on the state on Friday. We still are under a disaster declaration, so who knows how long those things are going to last.
So one thing you mentioned I want to circle back to is, because this is something I've never seen, and you probably haven't either, is the statute of limitations, which means your usual like hard deadline to file a case, right? Otherwise you kind of waive it unless there's something extending it. But so for certain claims, like the statute of limitations is going to continue through the disaster, which means, things that may have been barred as in not be able to be filed or there's a defense to, like you can still file now. But at the same time, and I think you'd agree with me, Jose, on this, but if there is a case you can file, like e-filing is still open, right? And so you can still file some of these cases, even though you could wait, because of the disaster.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's kind of weird the way that they phrase it. So they say clerks may accept new cases during this time. However, they want to withhold citation and service. So I think they're kind of thinking of it from like, we don't want random person A showing up at random person B's house with, a bunch of documents.
Let's talk about a little bit what that means, because like you file a new lawsuit, like a divorce, right? Or a car injury case, and you file a petition. But for the case to kind of kick off, someone has to hand that service and citation, right? And so I guess what you're saying is the Supreme Court trying to go, we don't want people just going knocking on doors looking for people right now, right?
Yeah.
And so we're going to say, hey, you can file your case, but the clerk doesn't have to issue citation right away. And you're right, the language was may, which is permissive language. In law, may and shall are really important. And so may means, you don't have to. Shall means you're going to do it. And so if the clerk allows new cases to be filed, they're going to say, well, you have to hold off on service and citation. And so that's going to kind of delay the start of all these cases.
Yeah, and so they've extended that until July 15th. There's a lot of other little kind of things that they did in there where, you can't have evictions, but it's okay to have evictions if it's or a forcible detainer, if it's because of threat or,
So don't threaten your landlord. Don't call your landlord,
right?
Get
evicted right now.
Literally, for non-payment, you can't do a forcible detainer, but if you call landlord, like, I'm going to kill you for trying to get rent, well, you're out. And so I've never seen this either, but it's a statewide order. And so, I mean, if you own some rental properties and you're worried about, getting paid, what am I going to do? Well, you should talk to your lawyer that helps you out. And if you're a tenant at the same time, you got to know that in most situations, they can try to sue you later when this ends or evict you later. But right now, this is all on hold. And I guess I see the reasoning behind that is you don't want to make people move and have to get all their stuff and be out in public right now when we're under like a general, well, and I guess the shelter in place is going to end now on the 30th. And so that's about to end. And so maybe that'll change. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think it'll change a little bit and it'll alleviate some confusion as far as, the custody orders, for instance, and whether people are actually breaking the law and finding out that they're not essential when they think they're essential.
And this doesn't, because the OCA, the Office of Court Administration, has given some guidance on how lawyers, should open their offices or not. And they're basically saying, don't, like if the only reason you're going to work at the office is because you like to work there, they're going to say that's not a great reason. And so they're really trying to discourage people. But, lawyers, we have been deemed essential, which means we can still do what you need. I know we had court appearance, I think it was last week, and we were all like, we're really going to have to go to the courthouse for this because we were wondering if this is the kind of hearing that should even go forward. But it's pretty rare. It's not something where we're in the courthouse a lot, where it used to be like, we had 2 or 3 lawyers every day in court. And so, Jose, what else do you want the people to know about the Supreme Court order?
Just for personal reference, if I have to show up in court anytime soon, I'm showing up in like jeans and a t-shirt most of the time right now.
And that's different than before the pandemic, or not?
That is different than before the pandemic. Normally I would have worn a suit or something along those lines, but
or at least a nice t-shirt.
If I have to go to court for one thing, it's going to be jeans and a t-shirt. Just to be very clear for the audience.
That's good. This is the kind of stuff. This is why people tune into this, Jose, to know what's Jose wearing.
Thank you. I think a lot of people worry about that.
Well, and like you said earlier, before we started filming, you do want to borrow this shirt for court next time. And I said we'd talk about it.
Yes. Yeah. If I'm going to court in Hawaii at some point, I think it'd be a lot of fun to wear, a lot of festive colors there. I feel like Bob Marley would have appreciated that shirt and probably.
This shirt works in every state.
Does it? I'm pretty sure the sovereign citizens of Oklahoma would be a little upset about it, but no, the changes in the order. Look, if something can hold off, then they're asking the courts to hold off. If it can't hold off and you need to have a hearing, courts are still open to have hearings. Unless it's absolutely essential, someone getting out of jail, something along those lines, then odds are it's not going to be in person.
If people ask me, I tell them, if it's a person in jail or involves children or some kind of true emergency, like you could get a TRO for it or an ex parte order, you might be able to get that heard. Other than that, probably not. And so if you want some more specific advice, talk to your attorney. But like right now, the courts are playing it safe because, courthouses having all kinds of people in and out just isn't something they want right now. And what we don't know is, until the Supreme Court responds to this, is how is this kind of small, soft opening of like the 25% for restaurants, but not bars until later, and not gyms, is that going to change courthouses? Because we don't know yet. And the Supreme Court isn't kind of on the same schedule as the governor. They're kind of reacting to this in real time. And one thing people don't really know in Texas is, like, the State Bar Act and a lot of other laws give the Supreme Court kind of unilateral authority to kind of change things. And it's something where I remember when I was on the State Bar Board, I thought, man, we can vote on all this stuff, but we don't. The Supreme Court does it. And so this is something where they do kind of have the authority to respond to this. And we don't know when they'll make a new order or if it'll change and respond to the governor's most recent order. And so we'll be watching that, and we will definitely make a new video as soon as we get a new Supreme Court order. Is that right, Jose?
Yep, absolutely. I believe it'll happen. I mean, given their rate right now, it'll happen tomorrow morning or today even. So.
All right. Well,
That's all I got. Jose Noriega. This is Robert Guest. Call us if you have any questions, 972-564-4644, or reach us at guestandgray.com. Thanks.